The hospice nurse's voice crackles through my phone speaker at 2:47 a.m., pulling me from the first deep sleep I've had in 3 days. Your grandfather's asking for you again. His vitals are stable, but he's agitated. Keep saying something about paperwork. I'm already pulling on yesterday's scrubs, too exhausted to hunt for clean clothes. The drive from my studio apartment to Grandpa Walter's house takes 12 minutes at this hour. The streets of suburban Minneapolis empty except for delivery trucks and desperate people like me. Grandpa's bedroom smells like antiseptic and a lavender, all I diffuse to mask it. He's propped against pillows I fluffed for hours ago. His breathing labored, but his eyes sharp when they find mine. The folder, he rasps, his weathered hand gripping mine with surprising strength. Blue folder. Office closet. Top shelf. Grandpa, it's almost 3 in the morning. Now. His urgency cuts through my fatigue. Before your uncle comes back. Something in his tone makes me move. In his home office. The one I've been sleeping in for 6 months. Surrounded by medical equipment and pill organizers. I find the blue folder exactly where he said. Inside, legal documents, property deeds, financial statements, and a handwritten letter dated 2 weeks ago, when he was still lucid enough to write. To whoever finds this, probably my granddaughter, since she's the only one who stayed. I'm leaving her the house, the cabin in Duluth, and the investment portfolio approximately $740,000. She gave up her nursing career to care for me. She deserves everything. My son Jeffrey and his wife Linda have been pressuring me to change my will. They visit twice a week now. Never visited before I got sick. They bring papers they say are just updates for my records. I sign nothing without reading it first. But I'm getting weaker. If something happens to my will, this letter proves my intent. I'm of sound mind as I write this. Dr. Patterson can confirm. Walter Morrison, March 15th. My hands shake as I photograph every page with my phone. Behind me, I hear the front door open. Uncle Jeffrey's voice carries down the hallway. He has his own key, insisted on it for emergencies. I slide the folder back onto the shelf and return to Grandpa's bedside just as Jeffrey appears in the doorway, his wife Linda behind him. It's 3 a.m. on a Thursday. They live 40 minutes away. They've never come at night before. How is he? Jeffrey asks, but he's looking at me with an expression I can't quite read. Suspicion. Calculation. Resting. I lie. Feeling Grandpa's hand squeeze mine once a morning. We need to discuss his care plan, Linda says, settling into the chair I usually occupy. Jeffrey and I have been talking to his doctor about options. I don't leave the room. For the first time in 6 months of 24/7's caregiving, I don't leave them alone with him. Something is very, very wrong. Morning arrives with the particular exhaustion that comes from maintaining vigilance while pretending to rest. Jeffrey and Linda left at dawn, but not before Jeffrey made a show of checking Grandpa's medications and Linda photographed the bottles on his nightstand. I wait until the hospice nurse arrives for her morning shift before I step outside to make a call. The business card in my wallet is creased from being carried for 3 years. Amanda Reeves, elder law attorney, someone I met during my nursing rotation at the memory care facility. She answers on the second ring. This is Amanda. My grandfather told me to find his will. My uncle's been bringing him papers to sign. The words tumble out faster than I intend. I think they're trying to change it. Slow down, her voice shifts to professional alertness. Start from the beginning. I explained the late-night urgency, the blue folder. The letter written while he was lucid. He has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Maybe 3 weeks left. My uncle barely visited before the diagnosis. Now he's here twice a week with his wife, always bringing documents. Has your grandfather signed anything? He says he reads everything first. But he's getting weaker. More confused. Yesterday he thought I was my mother. My throat tightens. She died 8 years ago. Listen carefully, Amanda says. Do not let them alone with him. Document every visit, times, duration, what they bring. If he's lucid, ask him to record a video stating his wishes. Get his doctor to evaluate his mental competency. What if they've already changed it? Then we fight it. Undue influence, lack of capacity, fraud. We have options. She pauses. But we need evidence. Can you get me copies of those documents? That afternoon, while Grandpa sleeps, and the hospice nurse monitors his vitals downstairs, I photograph every page in the blue folder. Property deeds showing the Minneapolis house and Duluth cabin, both mortgage-free. Investment statements from Vanguard showing $743,000 in balanced funds. His will, dated 5 years ago, leaving everything to me with a note she needed after giving up so much. I'm uploading files to Amanda's secure portal when I hear Jeffrey's voice in the entryway. He's early. It's only 2 p.m. He usually comes at dinner time with Linda. Is she upstairs? He asks the nurse, his tone sharp. My phone is still in my hand, upload at 87%. When his footsteps sound on the stairs, I close the folder and slide it back exactly where I found it, then step into the hallway as if I'd been checking on Grandpa naturally. He's sleeping, I say, blocking the office doorway with my body. Jeffrey studies me for a long moment. We need to talk, downstairs. The kitchen table has become a battlefield I didn't know I was fighting on. Jeffrey sits across from me with a leather portfolio I've never seen before, his expression a careful blend of concern and authority. I'll cut to the chase, he says, slamming the papers onto the table like a bombshell. Dad's care is draining our finances faster than a sinking ship. The hospice, the meds, the nursing help. It's time to talk about liquidating some assets. I flick through the documents, each page a dagger. Selling the Duluth cabin, transferring investments, durable power of attorney. My name is Tessa Morgan, 25 years old and 6 months ago. I hit pause on my nursing career to move in and care for Grandpa Walter. Jeffrey doesn't know this because I've been too buried in medication, schedules, and the constant battle against bed sores. But right now, I'm crystal clear. Medicare covers hospice. I shoot back, keeping my voice steady. His meds are insurance covered. The nursing support, 3 hours a day, maybe $2,000 a month. Hardly a fortune. You're missing the bigger picture, he counters. But I'm not blind. I know he has $740,000 in investments raking in dividends. I know this house is ours, paid off. And that cabin, it's been in our family for 40 years. I slam the power of attorney document on the table. This gives you total control over his finances. Jeffrey's jaw tightens. Someone needs to handle his affairs. He's not competent anymore. Competent enough to tell me he hasn't signed a single document you brought him. Silence hangs heavy between us, the tension crackling. Through the doorway, I hear the hospice nurse guiding Grandpa through his breathing exercises. A stark contrast to the storm brewing here. Linda and I are looking into care facilities, Jeffrey finally says, his tone dripping with authority. Professional end-of-life care. It might be better. Better than family? My words slice through the air, sharper than I intended. Better than having me his granddaughter who worked in palliative care by his side? Better than dying in his own home? You're 25. You should be building your career, not what? Honoring the man who raised me after my mother died? I rise, the chair screeching against the hardwood. Where were you when he got diagnosed? Where were you during his chemo? Where were you when he fell in the bathroom? And I was the one in the offer for hours? Jeffrey gathers his papers, his movements precise and calculated. We'll revisit this when you're more rational. As soon as he storms out, I grab Amanda's card and dial. They're moving faster than I expected, I tell her, urgency lacing my voice. I need to know what I'm up against. Amanda's office, all glass and steel, feels like a different world from the house where I've been changing bedpans and crushing pills. She spreads Grandpa's documents across her conference table, a legal battle ready to unfold. Your instincts were spot on, she says, her finger jabbing at the financial statement like a dagger. Someone's been trying to access his accounts. 3 attempts in the last month to transfer funds blocked, because the bank flagged them as suspicious. My heart races. Jeffrey, desperate enough to risk it all? The puzzle pieces click into place, and I'm gearing up for the fight of my life. The request came from an email address that bears his name, but the IP traces back to your uncle's home computer. She slides another document across the table, a smirk creeping onto her face. And look at this renewal drafted just 2 weeks ago, splitting everything between Jeffrey and you. But Grandpa said he didn't sign anything, I counter, the knot in my stomach tightening. He didn't sign this. Amanda's finger hovers over the signature line. But someone did. And Pearlie, your grandfather's signature has a distinctive loop on the W missing here. And those witness signatures? All dated the same day, but notarized by someone who's been dead for 3 years. They forged it, I whisper, the weight of betrayal crashing down. Attempted to forge it. The real question is whether they filed it anywhere. Yet, Amanda's face darkens. If your grandfather passes before we act, they'll submit this forgery to probate. Even if we prove it's fake, it drags everything into the mud, casting doubt on his true intentions. What do we do? I ask, adrenaline surging. We get ahead of them, today. Right now. She checks her watch, urgency radiating off her. Is he lucid at all? Best time is late morning after the pain meds, but before he's too worn out. I'm coming with you. We'll record him stating his wishes, and get his doctor to sign off on a mental competency evaluation. Amanda shoves documents into her briefcase. How much care documentation do you have? I think of my notebooks filled to the brim, medication schedules, vital signs, food intake, pain levels, moments of clarity, 6 months of meticulous records, everything. I document everything. Good. That'll show you've been his primary caregiver while your uncle's been absent. She pauses, her gaze sharp. Tessa, I need to prepare you. This is going to get ugly. Family always does when money's involved. It's already ugly. At least now I'm ready to fight back. We drive separately to Grandpa's house. I arrive first, spotting Jeffrey's car parked in the driveway. My phone reads 11:15 a.m. He never shows up this early. Through the kitchen window, I see him rifling through Grandpa's office. The blue folder spread open on the desk. Instinct kicks in, and I burst through the door before my brain can catch up. Jeffrey jumps, the blue folder clutched in his hands. Paper scattered like fallen leaves. What are you doing? My voice booms through the house, filled with challenge. I'm his son. I have every right. He shoots back, defiance flaring in his eyes. To invade his privacy while he's sedated upstairs. Really? I step closer, positioning myself between him and the exit. What were you looking for? His face turns crimson. I don't owe you an explanation. Oh, but he will. The battle lines are drawn, and this war is just beginning. Actually, you do. Amanda's voice comes from the doorway, cool and professional. I'm Amanda Reeves, elder law attorney, and you're currently handling documents that may be evidence in a case of attempted financial elder abuse. Jeffrey's expression cycles through shock, anger, and calculation. This is ridiculous. I'm protecting my father's interests by forging his signature on a new will. Amanda's tone could cut glass. By attempting to access his bank accounts without authorization? By pressuring a terminally ill man to sign over power of attorney? I don't know what she's told you. She's told me the truth, which is more than you've been telling anyone. Amanda holds up her phone. I have bank records showing attempted transfers. I have a forged will with a notary stamp from a dead man. And I have witness statements from hospice nurses who've documented your visits. The room falls silent except for the soft beeping of medical equipment from upstairs. Jeffrey's jaw works, but no words come out. Here's what's going to happen, Amanda continues. You're going to leave this house. You're going to cease all contact with Walter Morrison unless Tessa approves it. And if you filed that forged will anywhere, you're going to withdraw it immediately. Or what? Or I file criminal charges for forgery, attempted theft, and elder financial abuse. Minnesota takes these very seriously. You could face up to 10 years and $100,000 in fines. Amanda's smile is professional ice. Your choice. Jeffrey slams the blue folder onto the desk, paper sliding across the wood. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I step forward, my nursing training suppressing the tremor in my hands. You have 5 minutes to leave before I call the police. I'm Grandpa's medical proxy, and I'm officially banning you from this house. He's my father, and for 6 months, I've been the only one treating him like one. After Jeffrey leaves, I sink into Grandpa's desk chair, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. Amanda squeezes my shoulder. That took courage. Now, let's make sure his wishes are protected. 2 days later, Amanda returns with Dr. Patterson, Grandpa's oncologist. We wait for the morning window, when his pain medication provides relief. But his mind stays clear. The narrow strip of time, between agony and sedation where Walter Morrison still exists fully. Walter, Dr. Patterson says gently, setting up his tablet to record. Can you tell me why we're here today? Grandpa's eyes, though dimmed by illness, sharpen with understanding. My son's trying to steal from Tessa. Can you explain? Over the next 15 minutes, Grandpa speaks with surprising clarity about Jeffrey's sudden interest after his diagnosis, the documents he refused to sign, his explicit wishes to leave everything to me. Dr. Patterson asks questions, documenting his responses, noting his lucidity and recall. And you're certain about these decisions? Amanda asks on camera. I've never been more certain of anything. Grandpa's hand finds mine. Tessa gave up everything to care for me. Jeffrey couldn't be bothered to visit until there was money involved. After the recording, Dr. Patterson completes a formal competency evaluation. His cognitive function is remarkably intact. He tells Amanda, terminal illness doesn't equal incompetence. He knows who he is, where he is, what his assets are, and who he wants to inherit them. That'll hold up in court. Absolutely. I'll testify if needed. The next week brings rapid deterioration. Grandpa sleeps more, speaks less, drifts in and out of consciousness. I maintain my documentation notebooks, recording every moment of care, every visitor, every sign of decline. The hospice nurses note my dedication, my expertise, my round-the-clock presence. Jeffrey attempts to visit twice. Both times, I turn him away at the door, citing Grandpa's explicit wishes. He threatens legal action. Amanda tells him to bring it on. On a gray April morning, with rain pattering against the windows and me holding his hand, Grandpa Walter takes his last breath. The hospice nurse confirms the time, 6:23 a.m. I've been awake for 31 hours. I cry for the man who stepped in when my mother died, who paid for my nursing school, who never made me feel like caregiving was a burden to him. I cry for the relationship we had, for the future visits to the Duluth cabin that will never happen, for the loss of the only parent figure I had left. Then I dry my eyes, make the necessary calls, and prepare for the next battle. Jeffrey files the forged will with probate court the same afternoon. The probate hearing happens 6 weeks after Grandpa's funeral. A small service Jeffrey tried to take control of until Amanda intervened with a copy of Grandpa's written wishes specifying that I should make all arrangements. Now we sit in a Hennepin County courtroom. Judge Catherine Morrison, no relation, reviewing the competing wills. Jeffrey's attorney, a silver-haired man named Robert Hayes, presents the forged document with practiced confidence. This will, dated March 28, clearly states Walter Morrison's desire to divide his estate equally between his son and granddaughter. Amanda stands, her presence commanding despite her slight frame. Your Honor, we're prepared to demonstrate that document is fraudulent. She presents her evidence methodically. The signature analysis showing inconsistencies. The impossible notary stamp from a deceased official. The bank's fraud reports on attempted transfers. The video recording of Grandpa's lucid testimony. Furthermore, Amanda continues, we have 6 months of detailed caregiving documentation showing Ms. Morgan provided 24/7 care while Mr. Morrison visited. She checks her notes. -1 times in 6 months. Never for longer than 45 minutes. And only after his father's terminal diagnosis. That's not. Jeffrey starts to stand, but his attorney pulls him back down. Judge Morrison studies the video recording, watching Grandpa's clear-eyed explanation of his wishes. Dr. Patterson's competency evaluation was completed when, March 29th, Your Honor, the day after the alleged new will was supposedly signed. Amanda's timing is perfect. Dr. Patterson's evaluation confirms Mr. Morrison was cognitively intact and had not signed any new legal documents. The courtroom falls silent except for the court reporter's quiet typing. Judge Morrison reviews documents for what feels like hours but is probably 3 minutes. The March 28th will is rejected as fraudulent. She finally announces, the earlier will dated 5 years ago is upheld as Walter Morrison's true last testament. Furthermore, I'm ordering an investigation into the circumstances of the forged document. Robert Hayes confers with Jeffrey in urgent whispers, Your Honor, my client was unaware. Save it for the investigation. Judge Morrison's tone brooks no argument. Ms. Morgan, the estate is yours. This court recognizes your sacrificial caregiving and your grandfather's clear intent. Outside the courtroom, Jeffrey intercepts me in the hallway. This isn't fair. He was my father. And for 6 months, I was the only one who remembered that. I keep walking, Amanda beside me, toward a future I built with sacrifice instead of schemes. For months after the hearing, I stand in the Duluth cabin for the first time since Grandpa's death. The Morrison family retreat sits on Lake Superior's shore, exactly as I remember from childhood summers. Weathered cedar siding, a wraparound porch, the smell of pine and fresh water. The estate settlement took 3 months to finalize. The house in Minneapolis, the cabin, and the investment portfolio, all mine as Grandpa intended. After legal fees and taxes, I'm looking at approximately $680,000 in liquid assets plus two properties worth another $520,000 combined. I haven't returned to nursing yet. I needed time to grieve, to process, to remember what my life was like before it became medication schedules and hospice visits. My phone buzzes with a text from Amanda. Thought you'd want to know. Jeffrey's under investigation for forgery and attempted financial elder abuse. Prosecutor's office is taking it seriously. I don't reply. Some bridges burn for good reason. The cabin's master bedroom contains Grandpa's old desk, and in the bottom drawer, I find a letter addressed to me in his shaky handwriting. It's dated the day after our video recording. Tessa, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And hopefully you've won whatever battle Jeffrey put you through. I'm sorry you had to fight it all. I know what you gave up to care for me. A nursing career you loved, a social life, relationships, your 20s. The years you should have been building your own future instead of managing my decline. The money isn't payment. Nothing could pay for what you did. But I hope it gives you the freedom to choose what comes next. Maybe travel nursing in places you've always wanted to see. Maybe more education. Maybe just time to be 25 instead of a full-time caregiver. You didn't care for me out of obligation. You did it out of love. That's rare. And it's worth everything I can give you. Grandpa Walter. Tears blur the words. But I read it 3 times before folding it carefully and placing it back in the drawer. My laptop sits open on the coffee table. An email draft to Minneapolis General's nurse recruiter. Dear Ms. Walsh, I'm interested in discussing travel nursing opportunities. But first, I'm spending a week at this cabin, swimming in cold lake water and sleeping without listening for monitors, remembering what it feels like to be young and unencumbered and free. 1 year after Grandpa's death, I'm standing in Minneapolis General's ICU. Back in scrubs I feel both familiar and foreign after 18 months away. Travel nursing took me to Seattle, Boston, and Austin before I circled back to Minnesota, ready to put down roots again. The inheritance changed everything and nothing. I'm financially secure, yes. The investments generate enough that I could live comfortably without working. But nursing isn't about money. It never was. It's about the patient in room 4 whose family visits once a week. It's about the elderly man whose children argue about his care while he pretends to sleep. It's about recognizing the signs of caregiver exhaustion in the woman who hasn't left her mother's bedside in 3 days. You should go home, I tell her gently during my rounds. Get real sleep, shower, eat something that isn't from a vending machine. But what if she needs me? She needs you healthy. I squeeze her shoulder. Trust me, I know. During my lunch break, I check my phone to find an email from Amanda. Jeffrey pleaded guilty to attempted forgery and financial exploitation. 2 years probation, $50,000. Restitution to your grandfathers. ESTATE, which is you, and community service. Could have been worse, but at least there's accountability. I forward the email to my therapist with a single line. Closure feels strange. The Duluth cabin is now a retreat center. Not commercially, but personally. I bring nursing school students there on weekends, teaching them about palliative care and the emotional weight of patient relationships. We cook in Grandpa's kitchen, swim in the lake, and talk about the parts of nursing school that textbooks can't teach. That evening, a nursing student named Rachel asks, "How do you not burn out? Watching people die? Dealing with difficult families? How do you keep doing this?" I think about my answer before speaking. You set boundaries. You recognize that sacrifice isn't the same as self-destruction. You understand that caring for patients doesn't mean destroying yourself in the process. Did you learn that in school? No. I smile slightly. I learned it by doing the opposite first. The Minneapolis house sold last month to a young family with 3 kids. I kept the cabin and bought a smaller condo in the city. Enough space for me, close to the hospital, with a guest room for friends and students. Grandpa's investment portfolio, carefully managed, continues growing. I've set aside money for a scholarship fund for nursing students who are also caregivers, who understand what it means to balance education with family obligation. Sometimes I still wake up at 2 a.m., heart racing, thinking I hear monitors beeping. Then I remember I'm not on duty. Not in that way anymore. The grief is softer now. Less sharp, more like an old scar that aches when it rains. I miss him constantly. But I'm building the life he wanted me to have. One where caregiving is a choice, not a sentence, and where my future is mine to design. I walk past room for one more time before my shift ends, noting the elderly patient's vitals, checking his comfort, documenting everything with the thoroughness Grandpa's care taught me. Some lessons are learned in textbooks, others are learned in the brutal, beautiful space between loving someone and letting them go. I carry both kinds of knowledge now, and I'm finally learning how to live with them.